In the summer of 1997, I arrived in Tokyo as a 20-year-old with a computer science degree and absolutely zero understanding of my new surroundings. I didn't speak a word of Japanese. I had no grasp of the local business culture, the indirect communication styles, or the strict corporate hierarchies. But I spoke code, specifically C++, and the subcontractors building systems for the Tokyo Stock Exchange desperately needed people who could write it. When you lack the cultural context to navigate a foreign corporate landscape, strict computational logic becomes your only anchor. That logic was my entry point into the high-stakes world of traditional finance. The assignment itself was straightforward on paper. Build the matching engine. This is the foundational software that an exchange uses to connect buyers and sellers. Most of the time, the software follows what programmers call the happy path. A buyer wants to purchase shares at a specific price. A seller's asking price perfectly aligns with it, and the system connects them. But on an actual exchange floor, this simple connection has to happen within milliseconds, over and over, without a single calculation error. If a matching engine makes a mistake, the loss of capital is only the first problem. The real damage is the complete destruction of public confidence in the market. Anyone can code a basic trade mechanism. Guaranteeing absolute mathematical precision at hyperspeed is what actually builds market trust. That requirement for absolute precision meant the happy path was the least of my concerns. The real work happened in the edge cases, the highly improbable, one-in-a-million scenarios that no one thinks about until they break your system. I spent months trying to break the engine. What happens if a massive order arrives at the exact millisecond the market closes? How do you rank two conflicting trades that have the exact same timestamp? What if the server crashes right in the middle of executing a partial fill? To handle this, the core architecture relied on a deeply organized order book. We used a precise combination of priority queues and hash maps, specialized programming methods to store and instantly retrieve data, to manage millions of outstanding orders simultaneously. But the complexity explodes when different instructions interact. A single stop order, a command to sell only when a price drops to a certain point, can easily trigger a massive chain reaction that sweeps through multiple price levels in an instant. You don't measure a financial system's strength by how it handles normal, sunny day traffic. You measure it by its structural resilience during bizarre, extraordinary stress. I learned exactly how seriously the exchange took that stress testing during one particular simulation. A bug slipped into the testing environment, and our simulated market started behaving completely incorrectly. Though caught before deployment, the investigation was relentless. It consumed weeks of our time. We reviewed every single line of code, interrogated our basic assumptions, and drafted endless reports to prove the system was safe. That brutal review process shifted my perspective. I started looking closely at the seemingly arbitrary constraints hard-coded into the exchange, things like daily price limits and sudden trading halts. I realized I was looking at the actual skeleton of finance. These boundaries exist for a very specific reason. They are the accumulated wisdom of decades of past market crashes, panics, and collapsed bubbles. Every rigid rule in traditional finance is a trauma response. They are carefully engineered guardrails designed to prevent unchecked speed from taking a tiny computational error and amplifying it into a global catastrophe. Still, as a young programmer, I found Tokyo's deeply conservative financial culture frustrating. They demanded heavy documentation for the smallest changes and viewed novel ideas with deep suspicion. But their fears were completely valid. The exchange handled enormous volumes of capital. A single bug making it into the live environment could cost billions of yen and invite severe regulatory punishment. This created a permanent, career-defining tension. On one side, you have the programmer's desire to build faster, more efficient, and more elegant software. On the other side, you have the institution's absolute mandate for unbreakable stability. I ultimately left Tokyo in 2001, but I took those hard-learned technical lessons with me as I built new trading systems in New York and later in Shanghai. True innovation requires leaving the safety of legacy structures, but if you want your new ideas to survive, you have to bring those hard-learned architectural lessons with you. That balance is especially critical in the modern world of cryptocurrency. This is a raw frontier where the rules are still being written, and we are discovering brand new edge cases every single day. When we built Binance, we applied the exact principles I learned at the Tokyo Stock Exchange. We constructed a remarkably fast system, but we combined that speed with an obsessive culture of stress testing for extreme, highly improbable scenarios. Because whether you are trading traditional equities or digital assets, the core truth of the software remains the same. Every line of code represents real people, real capital, and devastating real-world consequences if it fails. To build the future of finance, you must respect the old rules and understand exactly why they exist. Only then can you push the boundaries forward while keeping the user safe.